Hey everybody, and welcome to BingeBot, where we recap all the latest and greatest TV shows to help keep you in the loop. Today we're continuing the story of John, aka Master Chief, in Halo Season 2, as he continues his battle against an alien invasion by the Covenant. If you like our recaps and you want to help out the channel, you can do so via YouTube memberships, Patreon, or Buy Me a Coffee, and we appreciate all of your support. But let's get this recap underway, starting with Episode 1, Sanctuary. After allowing his AI companion, Cortana, to take control of his body to complete the previous mission, John, better known as Master Chief, undergoes surgery to extract Cortana from his brain, restoring his consciousness and giving him control over his body once more. Fast forward 6 months, and John is back in action. Alongside him are his loyal Spartans, Kai, Riz, and Vanek, who together make up the formidable Silver Team. Expecting an attack from the alien faction, the Covenant, Silver Team is tasked with evacuating the planet Sanctuary. And during the mission, John, encased in his powerful protective suit, finds himself separated from his team. Surrounded by fog, he's attacked by several Covenant warriors, but despite the odds, John, being the unparalleled warrior that he is, stands his ground, shooting and slicing through the enemies. After the skirmish, John finds an injured soldier, Talia Perez, and as he tries to get her to safety, they find themselves surrounded by numerous Covenant warriors, their energy swords glowing menacingly. Surprisingly though, instead of attacking, the Covenant deactivate their swords and retreat. A moment later, John spots a shadowy figure in the distance that resembles Maki, a human who was raised by the Covenant as they considered her the Blessed One. This leaves John almost in disbelief, as he believed Maki to be dead. Without warning, the Covenant unleash a barrage of powerful plasma beams upon Sanctuary, initiating a process called glassing, which renders the planet uninhabitable. Recognizing the danger, the human soldiers begin to escape, taking with them as many survivors as they can. Back on planet Reach, one of the main human colonies, Silver Team reports what took place on Sanctuary to Admiral Jacob Keyes. Suddenly, they're interrupted by James Ackerson, a higher-ranking operative in the Office of Naval Intelligence, or simply ONI. Noticing that Silver Team is confused by his presence, Ackerson explains that he's replaced Dr. Catherine Halsey as the head of the Spartan program, effectively making him the boss of Silver Team. Despite Ackerson's assurances that his goal is to protect humanity, John can't help but be suspicious of him.
No, I'm here because I believe in you. And I believe in this program. Point is, I need you to be the very best operators you can be.
Once in their quarters, Silver Team is approached by fellow Spartans, Cobalt Team, who are heading out on a mission assigned to them by Ackerson. Oddly enough, Cobalt Team is given an escort mission that's supposed to be without any combat, and upon learning this, John becomes even more suspicious of Ackerson, as such a mission is clearly beneath the fighters of Cobalt Team's caliber. In the settlement known as Rubble, where most human outlaws live and conduct their business, Soren meets with a man who claims to know where Halsey is hiding. Soren, who was a Spartan before fleeing the program, is intrigued, as he wants to capture Halsey and make her pay for the atrocities she committed against him and the other children she abducted for the Spartan program.
I know where she is.
With that in mind, Soren travels to the location of a damaged starship floating in space where Halsey is supposed to be. Unfortunately, as he ventures into the ship, it turns out that this was a trap, as a group of Oni soldiers appear and capture Soren for all of his crimes.
For the crimes of piracy, kidnapping, extortion, and treason.
Back at Rubble, Soren's wife Layra and his son Kessler learn about his arrest. And heartbroken, Kessler runs away to a secret cave where he seeks solace with Quan Ha, who empathizes as she's lost her entire family. As the two console each other, they admire the cryptic drawings on the cave walls and wonder what they could all mean. Episode 2, Sword. Days later, Cobalt Team has yet to return from their supposedly easy mission, leading John to confront Ackerson and demanding that his team be cleared for action to go look for them. Ackerson, however, refuses and instead begins to question John's mental stability and his capabilities as a leader.
I need Master Chief. We all do. But John, at the end of the day, he's just a guy in a suit.
Undeterred, John examines Cobalt Team's flight plan and discovers that they never left Reach in the first place. This brings him to the realization that they must have been ambushed by a powerful enemy, which can only mean one thing: the Covenant have managed to infiltrate Reach. John's suspicions are confirmed when, at Reach's sword base, a squad of Marines hear distinct Covenant growls. As they follow the noise, weapons primed, they find themselves ambushed by a Covenant elite named Var Gatani, who holds the esteemed title of the Arbiter, which is an honorary rank of the highest order. Despite being vastly outnumbered, Var effortlessly eliminates all of the soldiers, his armor deeming their bullets futile. And once Var has cleared the way, Maki appears and enters a secret vault where she discovers the large keystone that was retrieved from the planet Eridanus-II, planning on taking it back to her ship. Episode 3: Visegrad. In the haunting silence of the morgue, Admiral Keyes is confronted with Cobalt Team's tragic fate. No longer able to keep it a secret, Ackerson confirms that the Covenant are indeed on Reach, and they're stronger than ever. Realizing that there's no chance of saving Reach, Ackerson discloses his decision to abandon the planet, taking all the valuable assets that he can while leaving the vast majority of the civilians to their doom. When Ackerson invites Keyes to join him, Keyes is infuriated and vehemently declines, asserting that he'd never abandon Reach and its people.
Essential assets are being transported off the planet as we speak. Get your things together. Tell no one.
I won't run.
With a massive bounty on her, it was inevitable that Halsey would be found and apprehended by Oni. Captured by Ackerson, she finds herself confined in a room that's almost disturbingly beautiful. After informing Halsey that he's leaving the planet, Ackerson decides to give her a parting gift, surprising her by bringing Soren into the room, finally reuniting the two. For the first time in his life, John goes to church to accompany Talia, who's engrossed in prayer. In a disheartened tone, she informs him that she's decoded a radio message from the Covenant. Translating the message, she reveals that the speaker is Var Gatani, declaring his intention to bring death to everyone on Reach, singling out John specifically. As soon as the ominous message ends, a massive explosion erupts outside of the church, marking the beginning of an all-out Covenant invasion of Reach. Episode 4: Reach. As more blasts continue to rock the city, John and Talia sprint through the panic-stricken streets, eventually reuniting with the other Marines, including Riz. Armed once again, John and Riz successfully take down several Covenant warriors before reaching the command center. The sight that greets them is horrifying. The Covenant have unleashed horrific destruction, leaving many Marines with severe injuries. To their relief, though, they find Bannock alive and awaiting their return. Kai, on the other hand, is nowhere to be found. The situation seems particularly grim when Bannock informs John that their suits, their most crucial equipment, are missing, leading John to deduce that Ackerson has already deserted the planet, taking with him the most valuable items, including their suits. Despite the bleak circumstances, John is pleased that Admiral Keyes chose to stay with his troops on Reach, knowing that they need his leadership. And to prepare his soldiers for battle, Keyes delivers an inspiring speech, urging the Marines to fight with all of their might despite being vastly outnumbered. He underscores the harsh reality that the battle is already lost. Their objective is to merely hold off the enemy for as long as they can, enabling as many civilians as possible to get on the transport ship to escape.
For every moment that we hold the enemy at bay, more innocent people can escape on the transports. And when they do, they will go forth and tell the story that you write today. You will be remembered.
Following his speech, Keyes unexpectedly encounters Halsey and Soren, who have escaped from their cell after the security system was compromised due to the explosions. Unfortunately, Halsey brings a mixed bag of news. The good being that she has seen Cortana in the building, which means that she wasn't destroyed after she was extracted from John's brain. The bad news, however, is that Cortana is now in the hands of the Covenant, as Halsey witnessed Maki taking her, undoubtedly to use her infinite knowledge to reach the Halo ring world before the humans. As the Covenant forces launch a relentless assault, the Marines put up a fierce resistance, taking down as many enemies as possible. And once the transport is filled with civilians, Keyes boards it, ready to dispatch. However, he discovers an error. The fuel lines are still connected to the transport, forcing him to rush outside to disconnect them. Tragically, this leaves him encircled by Covenant warriors. In accepting his fate, Keyes detaches the fuel lines from the tanks, filling the area with gas. Willing to make the ultimate sacrifice, he orders Talia to fire up the transport. And realizing it's the only option, Talia initiates the launch, triggering a massive explosion, instantly killing Keyes and the surrounding Covenant warriors. As more Covenant forces arrive, Var is spotted among them, leading Vanek to pick up a needler weapon and fire crystalline shards at him. And in retaliation, Var takes out a shard that's lodged in his armor, rapidly advances on Vanek, and stabs him in the chest with it. And just a moment later, the shard explodes, leaving a fatal gaping hole in Vanek's chest. Episode 5, Aleria. Having secured the Covenant victory, Maki and Var depart, allowing a massive brute to arrive and kill the few remaining humans. Despite the relentless fire from John, Riz, and Soren, the brute remains unscathed, until out of nowhere, a large starship appears, launching missiles at the brute and killing it. As the ship lands, Soren notices that it's piloted by his wife, Aleria, who has joined forces with Quan Ha to rescue him. Wounded and devastated by Vanek's death, John is pulled into the ship. Riz, despite being severely injured, refuses to leave Vanek's body behind and rushes back into the onslaught to retrieve it. Moments later, she reemerges from the fog, carrying the body on her shoulders, only to be hit by another shot, exacerbating her injuries. Nonetheless, everyone is on board now, allowing the ship to take off as the entire planet succumbs to the Covenant. A few days later, John wakes up to find Riz in critical condition, but thankfully, upon their arrival on the desolate planet of Aleria, Halsey performs surgery on Riz, saving her life. In the night, the few residents of Aleria hold a cremation ceremony for Vanek, during which Halsey eulogizes him, and John vows to avenge him before they set his body aflame.
I will be your weapon now. I will find the ones who caused your death, and I will end them.
As dawn breaks, John approaches Riz, instructing her to prepare as they're setting off for their next destination, the planet Onyx, which is another human colony and the headquarters of the Spartan program. Riz has other plans though. Having suffered too many injuries, she accepts that she'll never be the warrior that she once was. And so, she's decided that she's done fighting and is ready to move on to the next chapter of her life. Although this news is heartbreaking for John, he respects Riz's decision and gives her a farewell hug before leaving. With Vanek gone and Riz retired, John can't help but wonder where the last remaining member of his team is. The answer to that question is perhaps the worst case scenario, as Kai had left Reach with Ackerson and is now on Onyx, where she serves as the leader of a new massive army of the Spartan-IIIs. Episode 6, Onyx. Upon the group's arrival on Onyx, Halsey and Quan make their way to an underground facility where they meet with Halsey's daughter, Miranda, who's working on unlocking a mysterious gate that could potentially unveil secrets of the ancient alien civilization that built the Halo, known as the Forerunners. After infiltrating the Oni base, John is spotted on the security cameras, and noticing this, Ackerson orders Kai to capture John, having tricked her into believing that Master Chief has betrayed humanity and is allied with Maki to destroy Reach. Fully armored, Kai confronts John and begins to attack him relentlessly by punching and throwing him around the room, refusing to believe him when he tries to explain that she's serving the wrong people, and that it's Ackerson who's the traitor, as he was aware of the Covenant's presence on Reach but chose to abandon his fellow humans. With John battered and unconscious on the floor, Kai exits the room. And shortly after, John awakens to a voice that he knows all too well. Looking up, he sees Cortana materialize before him, having broken into the base's system. Feeling defeated, John is ready to give up, until Cortana tells him that she's with Maki, and perhaps more importantly, with Var.
It is imperative that you get there first. I'm with them now. They're almost there. I'm with McKee. I'm with the one they call the Arbiter.
The one who killed Vanek.
Realizing this, John is re-energized with the desire to avenge Vanek by killing Var. With Cortana controlling the system, John finds all the doors unlocking in front of him, enabling him to reach the room housing the keystone, which he begins to approach. Simultaneously, chaos erupts on Maki's ship as a Covenant priest begins to accuse her of being a traitor. In a display of loyalty to Maki, Var defends her against the priest. As a fight ensues between Var and the priest, Maki notices that her keystone is illuminating, indicating that John must be nearing the other one on his end. Struck with awe, she starts to approach hers as well. Episode 7. Thermopylae. The moment that their fingers touch the keystones, Maki and John find their minds transported to the Halo, which fills Maki with joy as she feels reconnected with John. John doesn't share her enthusiasm though, warning her not to bring the Covenant to the Halo ring world, fearing that they would use it to wipe out humanity. Countering John's argument, Maki states that the humans would do the same exact thing to the Covenant if they were to reach the Halo first. However, she believes that neither scenario will occur, as neither race will get to control the Halo, only she and John will.
The ring does more than destroy. It holds the seed of life itself. We could build a world here. A place of peace.
They're not gonna let that happen.
The ring doesn't belong to them. It belongs to us.
Before they can reach a resolution, John's physical body is approached by Oni's guards, forcing him to let go of the keystone, which causes a burst of energy, knocking down everyone around him. While navigating the base, John finds himself confronted by Captain Briggs, one of Ackerson's commanders. But before Briggs can take action, Kai arrives and knocks her out, deciding to work with John once again after having confronted Ackerson and discovering the truth. In the underground facility, Quan accidentally activates a mesmerizing holographic map of the galaxy, and while admiring the map, she's reminded of the drawings in the cave, making her realize that she can move the stars around, replicating their movements over millions of years based on her recollections of the drawings. Upon completion, a perfect ring is formed, aligning with the gate and opening it. As Halsey, Miranda, and Quan step through the gate, they're astounded by the advanced technology of the Forerunners, finding themselves on a bridge made of light and leading them to the next room, which they recognize as a laboratory. Inside, they find the body of a creature that looks almost human, but not quite, holding an item in its hand. Suddenly, the place starts to collapse, forcing them to hastily retreat across the disappearing bridge, revealing a vast city beneath. While Halsey would have wanted to stay to marvel at the city, she's compelled to leave when, in a rare instance, Miranda calls her mom. Once they reach safety, Miranda reveals that she's taken the item the creature was holding. Later, inside her lab at the Oni base, she manages to slightly pull it apart inside a glove box, causing it to release a small burst of gas. Having regained access to his suit thanks to Kai's assistance, John takes a ship and prepares to journey to Halo, which is now in sight. Episode 8. Halo. Following direct orders from Oni, the Spartan-IIIs, led by Kai, make a daring advance towards the formidable Covenant fleet. But tragically, they're instantly engulfed by a colossal blast that sends many of them spiraling through space. Despite the ensuing chaos, Kai manages to gather the surviving Spartans, encouraging them to continue with their mission. Unfortunately, things keep getting worse, as once they invade a Covenant ship, they find themselves vastly outnumbered and outmatched. Just when all hope seems lost, they receive unexpected aid. Brandishing an energy sword, John decimates the Covenant warriors on the ship, choosing to stand with his fellow Spartans rather than letting them die just so he could reach the Halo. After rescuing Kai and the remaining Spartans, John makes another detour, bolting through space to Maki's ship, which is plummeting rapidly toward the Halo. Once on the ship, John hears Cortana's voice echoing through it, informing him that Var and Maki have already made their way onto the Halo, and that she's hidden herself inside the ship's system.
I'm in the ship's systems. I had nowhere else to go.
Understanding this, John punches his fist into the ship's control panel, allowing Cortana to integrate with the suit, just as they crash onto the Halo. Shortly after, John regains consciousness on the Halo. After taking a moment to admire the lush flora, abundant water, and breathtaking sky, he and Cortana set off towards a towering building, hoping to find Maki and Var. Instead of escaping with the other Spartans, Kai decides to commandeer the ship and deliberately collides it into a much larger Covenant ship, triggering a monumental explosion. This sacrifice, made to secure human victory, leaves Kai's body floating in the infinite expanse of space. As the humans celebrate at the Oni control room, Miranda contacts Halsey to inform her that the item that they retrieved from the creature's hand turned out to be a sample container holding an unknown type of spores. Upon microscopic examination, Miranda's discovered that these spores are parasites that replicate at an alarming rate when they come into contact with living tissue, which means it could be a catastrophe if they escape the lab. Horrifically, the parasite has already escaped, likely due to a curious lab technician who couldn't resist tampering with the sample container. And just like Miranda speculated, the spread of the parasite is absolutely catastrophic.
I'm on my way to you.
Looking around, Halsey notices that several crew members have already been infected, causing them to twitch erratically before attacking each other viciously. When one of the infected crew members lunges at Halsey, she sees a grotesque creature emerging from its mouth, only to be saved by a gunshot from another crew member who gets immediately taken down. Fortunately, Halsey manages to escape, leaving behind the infected individuals who continue their rampage, infecting everyone in the room. And arriving at the lab, Halsey is apparently not terrified at all. Instead, she's ecstatic that they have contact with a parasite that coexisted with the Forerunners eons ago, seemingly not minding that this parasite is known as the Flood, which in the past nearly wiped out all sentient life forms in the galaxy. Suddenly, during her impassioned speech, Halsey freezes. Disturbed by this, Miranda approaches her, only to discover that Halsey has been infected as well. Not wanting to lose her mother, Miranda instantly places her into a cryosleep chamber to stop the infection from spreading, promising that she'll figure out a way to treat her. Elsewhere on the planet, Soren and his family find themselves in a similar predicament, as they're being chased through a building by a swarm of flood-infected people. After ensuring that their son Kessler has safely escaped the building, Lyra decides to stand behind, locking the door on herself. Once Soren returns for her, she tells him that she loves him and Kessler, while revealing that she's been infected. Wanting to protect her family, she walks back into the building, leaving Soren shattered and grief-stricken. Arriving at the towering building, John finds Maki and Var, finally getting a chance to engage Var in a battle that they've both been eager for. Both armed with energy swords, the fight is neck and neck until Var disarms John and launches a flurry of punches, tossing him around like a rag doll. John's spirit remains unbroken though, and he begins to use his grapple hook to retaliate, landing a series of punches on Var, destroying his helmet and crushing his jaw. Feeling humiliated by this defeat, Var begs John to kill him, believing it to be the only way to restore his honor. Without hesitation, John delivers a final stab to Var's chest, while a devastated Maki watches, having lost the most loyal companion that she's ever had. Following this, Maki places her hand on the control pad of the building, opening its gate. And before stepping inside, she claims that her plan is to use the halo to bring peace to the galaxy. However, her plan of peace seems twisted, hinting that she's ready to end countless lives to attain this so-called peace. Recognizing this, John grows even less trusting of Maki. As the two argue, Cortana draws John's attention to massive structures that are emerging from Halo and others appearing in the sky, conveying that there's much more to the Forerunner's technology than anybody knows. Once Maki disappears inside the building, John follows her in, where he's met by another piece of Forerunner technology, an advanced AI known as 343 Guilty Spark. While being questioned by Spark, John recounts his journey to the Halo, insisting that Spark should trust him, not Maki, as she's dangerous. In response, Spark reveals that Maki said the same exact thing about John. Nonetheless, Spark tells John that he's glad he's there, cryptically telling him that it has awakened because of his arrival and that it has been waiting for him, without actually clarifying what it is.
You are here because it is awake.
What is it?
It's been down there all this time.
Spark then turns around, seemingly inviting John into the building. Taking this as his cue, John puts on his damaged helmet and follows, ready to uncover the secrets that are hidden within the Halo. And that wraps up Halo Season 2. Guys, there's a lot of really cool lore to Master Chief, the Forerunners, the Flood, and that like mysterious it thing that 343 Guilty Spark was talking about at the end there. If you haven't played the Halo games yet, I highly recommend it. But unfortunately, that's it for this recap. If you like the content, consider dropping us a like or sharing it with a friend, and if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to our channel so you'll never miss a new one, and don't forget to ring the notification bell. Thanks to all of our patrons, YouTube members, and the Buy Me a Coffee contributors, as we really appreciate all of the extra support. We'll be back soon with another recap, but for now, BingeBot is logging off.